Fluxus actually was a name decided by George McCunis in the. I think he proposed this to a magazine he wanted to get out for his artistic movement, if I have that correct. And it really was for the state of flow, the constant movement of art, or the ephemeral. Nothing was ever supposed to be fixed in the way of Fluxus. Nothing was ever supposed to be preserved. So it was supposed to be kind of a fluid transition of the art piece itself. Now, more than that, the fluidity also meant a kind of synthesis of art and everyday life. Since they wanted art to be accessible by everyone, rather than have art and everyday life be a separate thing, they wanted to merge the two, where every instance could be an artistic event. So cooking, cracking a couple of eggs would be considered an open art event. And I would actually say, and we can talk about this a little bit more, but philosophically, I actually am of the mind that art is not so much in reality, like I'm in a bedroom and the ambience of the room is a musical event. No, actually, philosophically, I'm in disagreement with John Cage to an extent. I appreciate what he's done, and we'll talk about him a little bit later. But I would say that art, as RJ puts it in the fourth age, art is a representation of reality. You don't need to bridge art into reality in that walking through the park is an artistic experience. I do believe you need that separation to go to retreat to escape to, in order to understand reality, in order to understand human expression and experience. I think that's just how we roll. I think that's how we tick. Professor Geek, of course, would say that of mythology. We respond quite emphatically to something like mythology, even though we can go out, day to day and do things, go to the grocery store, be with our family, call a friend on the phone, but we always retreat to or go to art. We always go to mythology. We don't need to pull mythology into our everyday experience. If we do that, if we pull art into our everyday experience, I actually believe that detracts art. I actually believe that takes away the significance of art. But this was the mindset of the Fluxus movement. In order for everyone to have access to art, not fine art, not high art, even though that's not a bad thing either. They said, "Oh no, we'll bring art to you guys. We're gonna make you the artists. We're gonna make everything an artistic experience." That was the point. That was the role of Fluxus, the fluidity of merging reality and art together. Whereas I would propose, no, art should remain separate. Art should remain static. A place that we retreat to, a place that we go to, a place that we are reminded of during our everyday lives. We don't have to immerse in it always in our everyday lives. There's a very much an importance and significance to keeping the art and reality separate. They have inherent connected meaning, but they don't actually need to be bridged as if, two dimensions are bridged into an actual everyday experience, if that makes sense. So, as a recap, the Fluxus artists, they wanted everything to be an artistic experience. So right now, if I just sat quietly for 4 seconds, I heard 4 seconds of some room ambience, but it's ambience, it's room ambience. It's actually nice and quiet, actually, over where I am. But at the same time, I don't need to be mindful of that. It's kind of like blinking. You don't think about blinking.